Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in General Yanis Tactics I will be looking at the Thousand Sons and looking at some anti-vehicle options, the Predator and the Vindicator, and looking if they could have a place in the Thousand Sons army. So with no further ado, let's look at those units. So today is the 1st of November 2021, and in the weekend we had Warhammer Day, and I was looking at the news and the new Adeptus Custodes box coming with the Gene Stealer cults. It looked all kind of nice, and of course the limited time model of the occasion was a Primaris Lieutenant, and I mean I don't know, that seems such a joke. I mean it's not. It's one of the units that is not missing in the collection is another Primaris Lieutenant. So it's really a joke. Funny stuff from Games Workshop, especially since this loadout is basically the Lieutenant, not the same pose, but it's basically the Lieutenant that you have in the Indomitus box. But let's steer away from the loyalist, the Corpse Emperor's followers, and look at the Thousand Sons. And in Thousand Sons, of course, the Rubric Marines and Scarab Terminators, and with a lot of psychic powers, the Thousand Sons armies have very good potential to do damage to infantry at medium short range. They can do a lot, mortal wounds, a lot of nice shots with high AP, strength 4 or 5 if they are boosted, etc. But maybe where some assistance would be needed for Thousand Sons was to find some good long range anti-vehicle shooting, especially the long range could be useful. And could the old Predators and the Vindicators, the Chaos Predators and Chaos Vindicators, get a new life in the Thousand Sons Codex? The Thousand Sons giving them a 5+ invul due to being Arcana Astartes. So, of course, a very big weakness for the normal Predators and the Vindicators that their durability is kind of low, but with a 5+ invul, could that make them interesting? So I will be looking at the Predator and the Vindicator, the stats and the weapons, their damage output, comparing the damage to other units versus vehicles. So especially, as I said, I will not be looking at the loadouts versus infantry. I will also be looking at the durability, especially the Vindicator is quite interesting with a toughness 8. And then a little bit of buffs and combos, and then some final thoughts and summary. Before I start, big thanks to my patrons as always. Really appreciate your support, and all you guys supporting the channel, subscribing and commenting on the videos, helping the channel grow. So very big thanks to all. And now let's get started with the unit review. So looking at the base stats and the selected weapons, we have the Chaos Predator Annihilator, which comes equipped with a twin las cannon for 130 points, and then as sponsor weapons you can add 2 more las cannons, getting 4 las cannon shots with strength 9, AP -3, and a damage d6. And the Annihilator the Predator Annihilator is hitting on a 3+. It degrades if it loses. It's quite movable. It has a nice move, and the 40-inch range of the las cannon gives it a good range to shoot other vehicles. It could also get equipped with a Havoc launcher for 5 more points. You can add this weapon. It's a cheap blast weapon versus anti-infantry, not so much the vehicles option. If we look at the Chaos Vindicator, this has the Demolisher cannon. It's also costing 130 points as a base. The Demolisher cannon has a very strong profile, so it's a heavy d6 weapon with strength 10, AP -3, damage d6, and it's a blast, but it only has a 24-inch range. It could also get the Havoc launcher. It can get a siege shield that improves its save to 2+ instead of a 3+, basically, and basically has a very similar profile with a Predator, also hitting on 3+. Ballistic skill is a bit slower, but it has a better toughness 8. They both have 11 wounds. They both have exploding rules, and as part of Thousand Sons armies, they get a 5+ invul save, which the normal Predators and Vindicators do not get. So with a Predator, you could build something with 4 las cannon shots for 170 points. The Vindicator is a cheap toughness 8, 130 point unit, but it suffers a bit from the 24-inch range. Looking at the damage output comparison, and this is now not point corrected. Here we are looking at the Predator with 4 las cannons for 174 points, 170 points, and then the Vindicator for 130 points with the demolisher cannon. And we see the damage output across a variety of targets. The first targets here are the General Yanis 31 targets. Here are death card targets that have disgusting resilience. And we see, if we especially look at something with high toughness and not so much invul saves, like a Predator, an Impulsor, an Invictor, a Gladiator, etc., we see here that the 4 las cannons are doing a little bit more damage than the Vindicator's demolisher cannon, but of course there is a big difference in points here. So we would expect a Predator with 4 las cannons to do 4 or 5 wounds on average, depending on the vehicles with no invul save. If they are attacking a death card, let's say Demon Engine, like a Prairie Scroller or a Mephitic Lightholder or something like that, that would be 3 damage, 2-3 damage here. The disgusting resilience, of course, helps. And basically, as we have the las cannons and the demolisher cannon have a d6 damage profile that can be really swingy. A couple of good shots and you could kill a vehicle. A couple of bad shots, you will only like take 1-2 wounds out, and you have a d6 variable shot with the demolisher and 4 shots with the las cannons in this approach. But and of course they are not very effective against the infantry. It's a waste of shooting, let's say, to use the las cannons on infantry. And the demolisher cannon, although it has a blast, it's kind of a waste to shoot it at a big unit of guardsmen or cultist or something like that. It's, yeah, basically you're wasting your time with these high strength weapons. You should be targeting vehicles with these weapons. If we look at the point corrected damage output, then we can see the Vindicator is the gray and the yellow line. If we add the Havoc launcher, it's better damage output per points compared to the Predator with the 4 las cannons and or with or without the Havoc launcher, the blue and the orange line. So all in all, the Vindicator with its demolisher cannon is a better value for points. However, as I said in the beginning, it only has a 24-inch range, and the blast rule doesn't really help it versus vehicles. There are not many vehicles that have there are not many vehicles that have let's say more than 6 models in this 5 or 6 models in a squad. The Havoc launcher makes sense, adding a little bit 5 points if you can afford it to get a cheap blast anti-infantry weapon. The Vindicator's demolisher cannon, if you use it in point blank, you cannot use the demolisher cannon because it's blast, so it's a bit more if it gets engaged by the enemy and locked down, it's not so efficient. The Predator can shoot its las cannons in point blank, and it can stay a bit further back with its 48-inch range. Now comparing with some other relevant units, so here I'm comparing just the damage output versus a selected array of enemy vehicles, let's say. Basically, it's a combination of toughness saves and invul saves. And we have here the Contemptor with the 2 twin Culverin Volkites. Here we have the Forge Fiend with autocannon and ectoplasma. I reviewed in a couple of previous video. And here we have the Predator Annihilator with the las cannons and the Vindicator here for 130 points. This is point corrected damage output per 100 points. If we look at some vehicles that have low toughness, like a toughness 5 or something, then the Contemptor with the Volkites is the best. But as soon as the toughness increase above 6 from the Volkite, we have toughness 7, 8, etc. We are we have the Volkites are not super good against those enemies, and especially if the opponent has a 2+ save, the AP0 of the Volkites doesn't help. But here we can see, especially versus a toughness 8 opponent, the Vindicator is having a good damage output with the demolisher cannon being strength 10. Also, the las cannons are doing good. And we can see comparing also to, for example, the Death Guard's Plagueburst Crawler with entropy cannons being a very strong anti-vehicle weapon. We see that this is one of the best anti-vehicle shooting here. For example, most wounds it can do against like a Predator, etc. But the Vindicator comes close as a good alternative. So all in all, the Vindicator has a good damage output per 100 points, and especially versus toughness 8 targets. The Forge Fiend overall here with autocannons and the Ectoplasma gives you similar range with las cannons, and overall a bit better damage output except for toughness 8 opponents. The Contemptor with Volkites, of course, being core, can be buffed significantly, but its baseline it's not optimal versus very tough vehicles with good saves like a Land Raider or something like this. Looking now at the durability and comparing some of those units, and this is uncorrected for points. So here we have a variety of weapons, and we are looking at how many shots can a certain unit take before being destroyed from this type of weapon. Here we have the Predator, here we have the Vindicator, here we have the Vindicator with a shield, giving it a +1 to its armor save, basically getting it a 2+ save. Here we have other Thousand Sons vehicle that I have already reviewed, the Vortex Beast, the Forge Fiend, and the Mauler Fiend. Here I'm comparing the Contemptors. And here we have Death Guard vehicles, the Plagueburst Crawler, one of the most durable vehicles in the game. And then we have the Death Guard Chaos Predator. And we can see, for example, if we compare the Thousand Sons Predator and the Death Guard Predator, the 5+ Invul really makes it much more durable to heavy shots, like it could take 11 melta shots, while the Death Guard equivalent can only take 7 or something like that. 6 entropy cannon shots or 4 here. So basically the 5+ Invul makes the Thousand Sons Predator quite durable, and not as durable as a Forge Fiend or a Contemptor or something like that, but not very far away from some of the other Thousand Sons vehicles. If we look at the Vindicator, since it has a toughness 8, it's the most, let's say, it's the most durable versus heavy weaponry compared to all the other Thousand Sons vehicles I've been looking at. So the toughness 8 really helps it. The shield doesn't really help it against this very heavy weaponry because it has a 5+ invul, but it's helping it with this. For example, if the opponent has up to AP-2, you get very good durability. Still, we can see the Plagueburst Crawler has better durability than the Thousand Sons Vindicator because it has the disgusting resilience. So all in all, the 5+ Invul makes the Thousand Sons Predator quite viable and quite similar in durability to some of the other Thousand Sons vehicles. And the Vindicator's toughness 8 make it the most durable vehicle for the Thousand Sons army. And as I said, the shield is mainly helpful versus lighter fire and not super, let's say, not super helpful against the heavy weaponry. Looking at some selected buffs and combos for the Predator and the Vindicator, they both have the smokescreen keyword. They don't have any melee prowess, let's say. So some of their stratagems mainly are for defense. They can use the arcane smokescreen. When the opponent is shooting at them, they can be -1 to be hit. That gives them, let's say, 33%. They can take 33% more shots by that on average. The Warp Flame Gargoyles could be used if a Thousand Sons Arcana Starter's vehicle is engagement range of enemies. You can roll some dice and deal some mortal wounds. Maybe if there is some few infantry models keeping it locked, you could take them off with his stratagem for 1 command point. And then Ensorcelled Infusion for Thousand Sons vehicle gives it more AP to the shooting weapons, but it's not really helpful for the las cannons or the demolisher cannon. They already have AP-3. You could give it AP-4 if you're shooting at an opponent that has no invul 3+ normal save. Then you, with this one, they wouldn't be able to save at all if it's really important for you to take out a special threat, and you don't want them rolling 2 or 3 6s to to save the last cannons, let's say. Psychic powers, like most of the units, benefiting from the presage, +1 to hit, increasing the damage to 25 points, 25%. So that's quite nice for the Predator. Let's say 4 last cannon shots, hitting on 2 pluses. That's quite good. The Weaver of Fates can give it a 4+ invul. The Glamour of Ginge, -1 to be hit. Psychic powers, but as they have access to the smoke screen, probably it's better to use the smoke screen here and to use the Glamour of Ginge to some other unit. So reaching to the summary and final thoughts, the Predator I think could be an okay option in the long-range anti-vehicle shooting slot, giving you 48-inch 4 last cannon shots. Could be buffed to become 2+ to hit. Forge Fiend by the numbers is, however, a bit better than the Predator. Its durability is quite decent with a 5+ invul. Maybe it could find a spot for more, let's say, fluffy play, or let's say not the most optimal lists. Maybe as me, you have a collection of old firstborn vehicles you want to, to modify. You can breathe some new life to some of these aging Predator tanks. I know I bought some secondhand. I have 3 or 4 different Predators, not using them for my Ultramarines army. So I think in Thousand Sons they could be a little bit of help. The Vindicator is quite interesting, but with a range of 24-inch, it's a bit lacking in that department. The Demolisher cannon, having D6 shots with D6 damage, can be really swingy if you are hitting, let's say, 1 shot and you are damaging by 1, or you are hitting 6 shots and then you roll very big on the damage. It could really make, could make or break a lot of things. So it could be quite interesting, maybe in a crusade or something like that. If you could probably build some stories around the Vindicator being very good in one game and maybe letting you down in another game. With a 24-inch range, it probably will get in harm's way. It can be shot at, it could be charged, etc. It's the most durable Thousand Sons vehicle. With a shield, it can get a 2+ save, as I said. So quite very big durability. You put 11 high-quality wounds on the table, but with a 24-inch range, it will also be in peril a lot of the times. It is also quite cheap, 130, 140 points. Here you would be spending 175 points, where you probably would like to take one more, let's say, squad of Scarab Terminators. The blast rule of the Demolisher cannon is basically not a big help. It mostly hampers the Vindicator, not allowing it to have point-blank fire. You could install some combi bolter, etc., a bit more defensive fire. But in all case, it's not super strong in melee or in defensive fire. You probably would like to screen it some way. So I will probably start taking some old Marine Predator I have and making it a Thousand Sons vehicle to have it at least in my collection. And this type of iconography also looks great on a Predator. So with these words, this summarizes the video. What do you think about the Predators and the Vindicators? I know some of you have mentioned some Forge World Vindicators. Please let me know in the comments if there is some specific, let's say, Forge World tank model I should be looking at. And let me know in the comments what you think. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. And where I will be posting many more videos, math hammering, death card specific and Thousand Sons specific, and more chaos function as we go along. And if you want to further support my efforts, please visit my Patreon page. And with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.